Really? Good morning, beloveds. Uh, Gabby is with me this morning. She certainly has something to say. Where are you? There you are. Nope. And she's camera shy. She's not camera vocal shy, just camera. I'm not gonna look at the phone, Mom. Yeah. So, where are you going, baby? Life with cats is always interesting. So, Rita's in the doorway thinking about coming in, but Gabby's not exactly cat friendly, so probably won't happen because she sees Gabby in here. Although when I was in ministerial school, Gabby and Rita would come in and lay on each side of me while I was in class. And I did all of my classes in this room right here. So, when I was fostering, when I would have foster kittens, I was very popular on the Zoom because you would see them playing behind me on the couch. I have a different couch in the room now, but yeah, it was always interesting to have kittens. I'd sit and pay attention to class, and then I was distracting for everybody, including the professor, when the kittens were being kittens. But yeah, I found out that my terror trio, today is the day that the terror trio in my house joined my household. A friend of mine brought me a box of 5 kittens, and we got 2 of them adopted, and then the other 3, one of them nobody wanted, and then 2 of them, several people tried and it just never worked out, so they ended up, so I have a pair of 2 sisters and a brother that adore each other, love each other, drive me crazy, and apparently I've had them for 10 years. So, which has nothing to do with the science of mind. So, let's get on with this. It is July 31st. It is the last day in July 2020. Oof. It's been a July. It's just been a year. I'll admit that. And it is Friday, which means tomorrow I get to go to the park. Yay. Provided it's not storming, because that could happen. And our title is, I Am Joyful in the Joy of God. Because this was the month of freedom. And, okay, so I am joyful in the joy of God. Thou hast made known to me in the ways of life. Thou shalt make me full of joy with thy countenance. And that is Acts 2:23. And I've recently learned that Acts is kind of a journal-ish of what Paul got up to after. Because he wrote letters, and then the Acts were written about some of the things that he did, but not by him. So, go figure. Gotta love the Bible. Well, actually you don't, but I encourage you to go back and reread it and think about what it is saying for yourself instead of what somebody has told you that it means, because completely different things going on there. All right. Let me see. Let's see what Ernest has to say about the joy. I am joyful in the joy of God. Emerson says that prayer is the proclamation of a joyful and a beholding soul. And throughout the Bible, we find so many references to the joy of God and the gladness that we should have in God's presence. How can we help being glad and filled with joy if we believe that the presence and the power back of everything is one perfect life? Forever giving of itself, forever imparting itself to us, forever flowing through us in wondrous light and power. Wondrous light and power. Jesus said that if the multitude did not break forth in song, the very stones would be compelled to, by which he meant that all of nature is alive and awake and aware with the divine presence, and that all nature and everything in life responds to the song of the heart. Therefore, today I am filled with joy. I let every sense of depression or heaviness depart from my mind. Sorry. Let me try again. Therefore, I am filled with joy. I let every sense of depression or heaviness depart from my mind, and let my soul be lifted up in song to the giver of all life, and to the joy of living. Joy shall accompany me like a companion, and happiness shall be me as a comrade. Shall be to me as a comrade. There is a song in my heart, singing unto the Creator of all things, and there is an invisible chorus responding through everything in nature, through every person I meet. For today I am meeting everything with joy and happiness, with song and laughter, with gladness in my heart. I proclaim this day to be one of happiness, of thanksgiving, and of praise to the Most High God, to the divine presence that inhabits eternity and finds an indwelling place in my own soul. Today I express my joy and gratitude to this inner presence, and this presence in which I am enveloped is one living spirit of color and responsiveness, the authority of joy and peace, of freedom and wholeness. Okay, outside of the weird whatever I'm having going on with my throat at the moment, this is a really good one for Friday, and two, this one depends on your relationship with God. So this is an invitation to examine your relationship with God, with the Spirit, with whatever word you want to use. And if it helps, then any time that Ernest said God, feel free to put another word in. Because God can have a whole lot of baggage around it that can really bother people. And I get that. So if Spirit makes more sense to you, then great. Then the title of this is I Am Joyful in the Joy of Spirit. If your relationship, if you are still running on the angry God of your youth, then this is not a great passage. So I would suggest to you to look at your relationship with either the Word God or your relationship with Spirit. One of the goals of Science of Mind, I don't know if it's a goal of Science of Mind, but one of the teachings in Science of Mind, I would say, is to help people repair the relationship that they have with Spirit, with God, with whatever word you want to use. Because we were taught one thing frequently that's not true. We keep trying to define God within our personalities, within the human spectrum of attributes and qualities, and it can make for a jealous and petty deity. And that's not what God is. And I think deep down in our heart of hearts we know that. But when we've been taught by authority, which is why it's good to question authority, that, God is a father figure, and if you didn't have a great relationship with your dad, that can be kind of scary. If you had a great relationship with your father, then, you don't have that issue. So, one, feel free to change the wording. And two, examine God. And one of the things that I did as an anthropologist is I did. Because all over the world you see all of these different, and I'm going to use the word aspects of God. Because every culture has something to say about God. That's what we do as humans, is we tell stories about God. And there's no way that in this limited mortal time-bound form we can understand everything that God is. So we take the snippets and the pieces. But if you look around the world, frequently God is, the representations of God that you see are more good than they're not. And that is one of the reasons why Joseph Campbell is one of my heroes, because he brought world mythology, the stories that we tell ourselves about God and our interactions with God, to the world. And so you get to see all of the stories that everybody else tells about God or spirit or whatever you want to call it. And you can understand that great accountant in the sky that we were taught isn't the truth. And moreover, it's not the truth for everybody in the world. Everybody else has other truths. And in all of those little T's, we can come to a better picture of the big T. All right. So Emerson says that prayer is the proclamation of a joyful and beholding soul. And throughout the Bible, we find many references to the joy of God. Maybe we should go look for those instead of all the places where God was angry. And the gladness that we should have in God's presence. Jesus clearly had a gladness in the presence of God. That is how he worked all of the things that he did, because he worked it in that joy of the presence of, in his case, the Father in his life. How can we help but being glad and filled with joy if we believe that the presence and the power back of everything is one perfect life, forever giving itself, forever imparting itself to us, forever flowing through us in wondrous light and power? If you feel all of those things, then you're going to be joyful in the presence of God. If you don't, please re-examine your relationship with God and see what God is, not what you've been told God is. Jesus said that if the multitude did not break forth in song, the very stones would be compelled to, by which he meant that all of nature is alive and awake and aware of the divine presence. Consciousness goes all the way down, and frequently because what we say is that we're all made of God's stuff. So the divine is in the very rocks that make up the world. And that all nature and everything in life responds to the song of the heart. Therefore, today, I am filled with joy. I let every sense of depression or heaviness depart from my mind, and let my soul be lifted up in song to the giver of all life, to the joy of living. Joy shall accompany me like a companion, and happiness shall be to me as a comrade. Joy shall accompany me like a companion. I walk in joy, and happiness is my comrade. Happiness is my friend. Happiness is my brother. There is a song in my heart, singing unto the Creator of all things. And there is an invisible chorus responding through everything in nature. If you stop and listen to the rhythm of nature, then you will hear the song of life. Through every person I meet, every person is singing that song. Sometimes they're singing it more quietly than others. Some people are singing it more melancholy than others. But everyone sings that song. For today, I am meeting everything with joy and happiness. When you go out in joy and happiness, then the world cannot help but respond back with joy and happiness. Unless you meet one of those really unhappy individuals, and then joy is contagious. Joy is contagious. And when you meet those kind of people, don't let them dim your joy. They will find theirs. Bless them and wish them well on their way. So I am meeting everything with joy and happiness, with song and laughter, with gladness in my heart. I proclaim this day to be one of happiness, of thanksgiving, and of praise to the Most High God, to the divine presence that inhabits eternity and finds a dwelling place in my own soul. I like that. Finds a dwelling place. It's in eternity. The divine presence is in eternity. It finds a dwelling place in my own soul. Today I express joy and gratitude to this inner presence, and this presence in which I am enveloped is one living spirit of color and responsiveness, the author of joy and peace, of freedom and wholeness. So I like that it's a spirit of color and responsiveness. All of the colors that are out there, this is what spirit is. And the spirit is joyfully responsive to our requests, our desires, our joy. Our joy. So today our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to be joyful in the joy of Lord, joyful in the joy of spirit. That is our mission, and to allow that joy to spread. So, for the last day in the month of freedom, we are joyful in the joy of God. Now, August, we're going to go into vitality, so that should be interesting. But I'm going to move on with the process of my day, and I'm going to encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. Open the windows of your soul. Get the fresh air from heaven and allow for a new perspective, especially on your relationship with the divine. Allow for that new perspective. And do something that engages your mind and your body today, whatever that looks like to you, so that you make this a joyful day. All right, beloveds, know that you are a beloved child of God. Know that God loves you, and know that God is well pleased with you. And know that Reverend David will be on around 5 with you, and I will be back at 9 a.m.-ish. I get to go to the park tomorrow. And do what you need to do to make it the best and most joyful day possible. Have a fantastic day, beloveds.